Welcome back to Ways to Love Your Money. I'm Elisabeth Dawson, and today's show is going to be about someone who is young, and she started in her career at 19 in real estate. She started to create wealth very quick, and we're talking about her relationship with money and where her passions have changed now that she's 35. So she's had a lot of experience with the markets going up and going down, but that relationship with money is now becoming more constant because of those life experiences. So please stay tuned. We love to have you here, and Reshia will be with us here in just a moment. Welcome back to Ways to Love Your Money. I'm Elisabeth Dawson, and we have a beautiful guest here today. Her name's Reshia Guarnotta. I'm going to let her explain to you what she has done and what she's accomplished in her early ages, and basically what her goals are today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah.
And here's a copy of our book, Wealth by
awesome.
Design.
Oh, I love it.
I signed it for you. I hope
Yes.
that you like it.
Great. I'm
We'd
excited.
be honored to have you read it. So.
I would love to. This is awesome. So I started real estate when I was 19.
Okay.
So I'm 35 now, just for reference.
Okay.
But
We're not supposed to tell our age.
Oh, I know,
okay.
but so I started real estate at 19, right out of high school, really. I went to a community college, and my professor said, hey, you'd make a good realtor.
Okay.
At the time, I wanted to be a vet.
Wow. Did you have family in the business or anything like that?
No, I just
you.
I
Okay.
just love. I loved animals, but I knew I couldn't do that whole thing with any of it. And so once I got real with that, I really started researching what it is I wanted to do.
Okay.
And he made that recommendation, and all that I ever knew about a realtor was bus benches.
Okay.
And so I never knew anything about, I know that
The advertisements,
they help you sell a home. But like, what does that mean? Is it, a lot of people don't know how realtors get paid. They don't know really what they do. So just, I got to research that a little bit. I started out as an intern, and then it just grew from, then I just started selling real estate.
Okay.
And watched the market experience its highs and lows.
Sure. And you started in real estate in 2004, right?
Yeah, so I actually was licensed January of 2004, so I started a little bit
Okay.
before that in 2003.
Okay. So you're kind of in that boom time.
Right, yeah. I watched,
You got lucky.
Watched homes just skyrocket. I would
Sure.
get calls, say, oh, I'm looking for a home in, Alpine for $350,000. I was like, great, this is going to be a great client. That's going to be easy. And then I'd look in the MLS, and what do you know? Like, there's nothing available already.
Right,
but a couple months ago,
Yeah.
there was more inventory. So I really watched that affect my business, just starting out, just going into it, just watching the market climb.
Well, and you've done some interesting things in your career so far. So you owned a brokerage, you said, and then you've also done some things in the last year that you were kind of proud of.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, I guess everything that I've done, I'm proud of, because it created the person I am today. So even like the parts where I feel, oh, I failed at that, like that didn't make it to where I wanted it to be.
Sure.
It actually served a really huge purpose. And so opening my real estate brokerage, that helped me learn more about brand. And I actually, and having that for 3 years, I even rebranded my real estate brokerage. So I started out with a brand, and it was super feminine, and it worked with the location that we were at, the design, everything fell into this brand. But then I realized it just wasn't me.
Okay.
And so I scratched that all. We moved locations. We tripled in size with agents, and then we made it more of more of my brand. I hired someone that knew me really well, a good friend of mine who does branding, and it all worked. So I really learned about like what brand identity can do and how it can start with a logo, and really of who you're going to attract. Because with my first brand, it was all women, and then when I hired men, I had to kind of go for like the more a different look, a more masculine, a more cleaner look. So that was a cool win there. Got into like a name dispute and stuff like that. So I actually had to close my brokerage.
Okay.
I wasn't going to go up against attorneys on the name that they said that was theirs, and worked as a PR director and branch manager for a big franchise here, a real estate broker, and got to learn a lot about managing agents and seeing what they struggle with on the everyday basis.
The everyday, day-to-day.
Yeah. And then and watching the way that they're branding themselves and not really knowing how to brand themselves along with the brokerage. It was a really strong brand that they're with. But how do you stand out when there's 700 agents that work with your company? How are you standing out as a brand?
Right. Yeah.
And so I got to see that aspect of it.
So let's fast forward to that
Yeah.
then, because that's what you're really passionate about right now, and that's about branding for businesses. Not just real estate, but branding for businesses.
Yes.
So something spoke to you about, a message to help people out, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when it's whenever I'm helping people, I always feel better. They'll call me and I have friends that call me and say either they don't know what they want to do with their life, like how did you figure out, or they want to do something so bad, but that job's not available. So I say, if the job's not there, create it.
Okay.
But I have such a passion for that because it also, like, it excites me. It fuels me. It makes me feel better because I'm giving back to them. I'm giving back to my friends. And so that really helped me realize that passion in branding. Also, whenever I'm watching a movie, a commercial, it doesn't matter what it is, I always have to give feedback on it. My husband probably hates it. So I'll tell him, like, oh, who are they marketing to? Or what's their message there? Or that's not really clear. I understand what they're trying to do there, but it's, so I'm always critiquing that.
That's great, though.
Yeah. And
that gives a lot of feedback to the people that you're trying to help.
Right. Well, it's, to the commercial, I'm not actually talking to them. I'm just telling my husband, and he's like, okay, let me just enjoy this show or whatever. So really having that experience and doing that, we go to restaurants, we stay at a hotel. I always have something to say. So that made me realize, like, this is actually something I have an eye for. And I've been told that.
It's almost like the interior design, like the interior design for branding. It's kind of what I pick up with you.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how you're kind of critiquing yourself on that, but I think that's your message, right? You want to kind of just build them to what they can do and get them to their full potential.
Yeah. And even from the way that we dress to the way the office looks, it all speaks to your brand.
Okay.
And so that's also what
I always say it's all in the presentation.
It is.
It's always in the presentation.
Definitely.
So talk to me a little bit, because you went through the real estate industry when it was actually going through its high, and then you went through basically 2007 through 2009. Really, I think it dragged out until probably about 2010, 11, right?
Right. It started really picking up in 12.
Yeah. Okay.
2012.
Okay. So how did you survive all that?
So
How'd you make it?
Well, my husband he has a steady job. He's been
Okay.
a teacher for 20 years now.
Oh, okay.
And so we had that steady income. We bought a home early on, and he bought a home, and then we transferred that equity into another house.
Okay.
And then we actually had to sell and lost money.
Oh.
And like everybody else, but we got out. I told him, hey, the market's crashing. We have to get rid of this home. And we were in one of those, like, crazy loans that everybody,
an adjustable or something?
Yeah, where you have 4 different payments that you can choose from. The one that's your negative amortization loan, or paying some to principal. And so we just thought, it was before we had kids. We had just gotten married, and we decided to sell it. Lost probably, $50,000, like that.
Yeah.
And rented for a while, and then I just started watching the market. I did a lot of short sales. So how I survived was I adjusted to the market. So his job allowed me to stay in real estate, because we had that steady income.
Sure.
And then I had to adjust to what the client's needs were. And unfortunately, it was a lot of short sales. But because I'm so detail oriented, and because I want to help them so bad, it was like I really got to learn every step of the process, and I would inform them of what's going on and what's going to happen, and just really, I mean, these files took a year and a half to 2 years to close sometimes. I can't even imagine that now.
Yeah.
Working with a buyer who's going to wait for a home for a year and a half, it's just insane.
Pretty amazing,
Yeah. So my shortest one was 21 days. I did a short sale from when the buyer wrote the offer on it to closing escrow was 21 days. That's my unheard of number. It was a smaller bank.
Wow.
And they allowed this lady not to foreclose. She was about to foreclose. The longest one that it took was, I would say like 2 years. But
wow. That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
People kind of get, hindsight now, right? They kind of get that amnesia. Oh, it can't happen again.
Right.
But we're kind of getting to this place where our market is pretty high again. And we know that there's going to be some change that'll come.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this question, because if you were to tell your younger self, by going through those experiences way back when, what would you tell yourself to be prepared for that? Because I think we're going to try to be more prepared for this next turn of the markets eventually that'll be coming here.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I would say buy something not as an investment. So buy a home not as an investment, but as your home. And so a lot of people, they look at real estate as just an investment first.
Sure.
And so even when they're purchasing their first home, they're going, well, do the numbers make sense? Only instead of, do I actually want to live here?
Yeah.
Can I imagine raising my family here? Am I going to stay here for more than 5 years? when you look at it as a home first,
Sure.
then the numbers come second. Then you can power through the market shifting.
Okay.
Now, obviously, don't make bad choices, right? Don't
Sure.
overextend yourself.
Sure.
And I think that the way that it's different from back in 2000 and 7 and 8 or 6, 7 and 8, the difference back then was that people were actually buying homes that they really couldn't afford. And the lenders were saying, which they thought, hey, the market's going to change, or the market's going to keep going up.
Sure.
You can just refinance in 6 months.
Sure.
So they're relying on the ability to refinance, and then the loans change.
Sure.
Where you actually, now you don't qualify, and then now your value's not there, so you can't refinance. Yeah. So now you're stuck in this weird loan. Some of them were stuck in balloon payments. I mean, it was a mess. And so that's not going on right now. We have a lot of people that are in their 30-year fixed, and they actually do qualify to be in that home. But the market might change a little bit. It might, come down in value. It's consistently been about 6 to 8%, increasing every single year.
Sure.
But that might not happen. It might either, flat out, or it might come down a little bit. But if that's the home you want to be in,
then it's the home you want to be in.
Then it's the home you want to be in. Yeah. And, thank God you're not in the situation where you're getting kicked out of your rental, or subject to you're paying $3,500 a month for rent. So it's a little bit more secure.
So being on this show, it's a money show, right?
Yeah.
So we want to always ask people what their relationship is with money, and you kind of giving this information back to people that are thinking about the purchase of their home, not just as an investment, because you got to live somewhere, right? And it's better to pay your mortgage whether the price goes up or it goes down, right? But what's your relationship with money today? How do you feel about money today?
So I did a lot of stupid spending throughout my life. Money to me it's always been really easy to make it. Like, knock on wood here. But it's always been really easy to make it. And so I never valued it as much. So when you're bringing in big commissions like that at a young age, it's really easy to spend money, just because. Yeah. So buying stupid stuff. Now I'm really looking at it and being more careful with that, and really honoring my husband, who wants to create a larger savings account. That's his. He's 11 years older than me. He has a more, I would say, conservative in the way that he was brought up. He wants that savings account. He wants to invest in stocks. I'd rather invest in a company or in real estate than in stocks. So we're very different there, but really coming together and honoring what he wants to do also, and valuing money and not buying stupid stuff, because it all adds up. One thing I will say is avoid sales if you can't spend the money. Remove all the emails that give those coupons and discount codes that try and tempt you to come into Sephora to save 20%. I think that sales are great if you have to buy something. If you need to buy a pair of shoes, go get them on sale, or go get them from Ross at a discount. But if you're not in the market for shoes, don't go hit up a sale.
Yeah, don't just go shopping to shop.
I would shop to shop, because shopping's fun to me. It's kind of like a little therapy thing. The moment I picked up wine, you think that'd be cheaper, but it's not. So I'd rather drink wine than shop. But
it has little perks with it, right?
Exactly.
We get to rent it for a little while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for talking about your relationship with money today.
Yeah.
And that is really what I like to talk about on the show too, because money, especially in a marriage, is about a relationship, and it's about something that you both have a voice in. But it's a team, it's a partnership that you want to have a good relationship with it. All of us out there are in love with the fact that real estate is one of those things that we can have as a home first, maybe an investment property second, but how can we expand? What can we do? How can we be a little bit more responsible and smarter about our money decisions, and not just put all of our eggs in one basket? So it's that balance, having liquidity for opportunity is key. But, I think one of the key things that Reshia was saying too, don't just shop for the fact of it. Don't just use don't get the credit card with just the miles on it to get the miles, because there's always a cost to it. Don't just, add your Nordy bucks, if you will, which, you all know that I was back in Nordstrom for about 10 years. So I understand these tactics to kind of get us back in there and want to shop. So think about those things, because if it's not necessarily driven by our purpose, maybe don't do it. Maybe consider it twice. And again, when the holidays are on its way, it's just something that you need to budget for. You need to figure out maybe that one great gift. I read something over the weekend that you should pick 4 gifts per person if they're in your immediate family. And don't go overboard, but just think about something that's really meaningful and thoughtful for them. Again, take care. Thanks so much, Reshia, for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you. And stay tuned for more episodes of Ways to Love Your Money to come next week. The information provided in this show is for informational and educational purposes only. This show is not investment advice, nor is it intended to address the financial needs of any particular viewer. The opinions expressed on this show are not intended to be an endorsement of any particular investment strategy or service of any other kind. You must make an independent decision regarding investments or strategies mentioned throughout the show. Before acting on information in this show, you should consider whether it is suitable for your particular situation and strongly consider seeking advice from a financial advisor.